Weirdest beer in the world, no question, Geuze. And I'm here to drink some at probably the weirdest beer festival in the world, in Belgium. Come with me. So what is Geuze? Talk about that. You need to go back to yeast and the role that yeast plays in the making of beer. Broadly speaking, yeast is the catalyst that works on the sugary wort and turns the sugars into alcohol. Nowadays, most yeast in brewing is very tightly manufactured, controlled. You know what you're getting. But there is a type of beer that is still produced, in particular, in this part of Belgium to the southwest of Brussels, where they do it old school. They let the vat, they get the top of the vat off, and they let the naturally occurring yeasts in the air do their stuff, which was how beer used to be made many, many centuries ago. The basic beer that gets produced this way is called lambic. But when you blend different lambics together in a champagne bottle with a bit of sugar, that is Geuze. The word comes from an old derogatory French word rather, for beggars. It was used as an insult aimed at a group of local nobles who were rebelling against Habsburg rule. They adopted it as a badge of pride. A street was named Geuzenstraat in Brussels after them, and this was where a lot of the beers were produced, so that was where this particular type of beer got its name. Every 2 years, all of the main producers of this type of beer, acting in their high council, as it's called, throw their premises open to the public for a long weekend. So when I heard about this, I thought I had to be there. So recently, I spent a long weekend in Belgium visiting many different sites of all different kinds. And the video I'm going to show you now is all the great fun I had doing so, all the different places I went to, and not at all giving undue preference to any one of them much. Now, health warning: lambic and Geuze are really not like other beers because of how differently they're produced. They're more sour, they're more acidy. They're a bit more like a cider or a champagne than a classic beer. You may not like them. You really should try them. You really, really should, because you might love them. I personally love them, which is why I took the trip that I did. So welcome to Brussels, and the weekend starts here. I've got a bit of time before I have to be at my lodgings, so a few minutes walk from Gare du Midi is Cantillon, which is one of the most famous Geuze breweries. It's kind of the centre of Geuze in Brussels, and I'm going to have a look around. So I booked for the tour and get a tasting at the end of it. It is really busy this afternoon. I guess no surprise, there are lots and lots of people here for the tour and stopping off at Cantillon before heading down to the Geuze blenderies. So glad I came here because I'm learning a lot. What I hadn't realised was the extent to which this museum was all about a revival of proper lambic standards, because the point came when big breweries started making essentially fake lambics, and this museum was set up in 1978 to stabilise the situation and provide a reminder of what real lambic was like. So we're now at this tasting of samples. There's going to be three. This is the first one, which is the actual basic lambic itself, and the other two will be developments on that. First distinctive taste of the lambic for the weekend. Nothing like other beers that we're used to, but for me, absolutely delicious. And this is where the magic happens at Cantillon. The room I've just been upstairs is where they release the wild yeast, which is very specific to that room, which starts working on the wort. We're now in the barrel still. See barrels. And this is where the yeast does its stuff, so turning the sugars in the wort into alcohol. There's a very good little motto up on the wall here. Time does not respect he who does without it, which is a moral there somewhere. This is great. So I'm now in the bar upstairs at Cantillon. It's a very popular bar. You have to go on a waiting list and wait to get in. So I got myself a glass of what they call magic lambic, and they've sat me as I'm at a table with a group of people from Brazil. So here they are. Brewers from Brazil. We've just been talking about different beer styles, and they've offered me a glass of this, which is 2007 Geuze, which is pretty amazing, really. So yeah, the weekend is truly in full swing. Okay, I've now left Cantillon, Brussels behind, caught a train to a little place called Lot, which is about halfway between Brussels and Halle, where I'm eventually heading. Because in Lot is one of the other really big names of Lambic, which is Three Fontaines, Three Fountains. I've had their stuff before. For example, I had their Plum Lambic at the last Great British Beer Festival. So it made sense, it's on the way, and I'm enjoying a glass of their Creek. Oh, lovely. Really, really nice. It's doing very good business here. If you take a look round, all the tables over here are now pretty full. Some lovely, friendly people behind the bar. I think this is their menu. I've got one of the more basic glasses of Creek, but if you go through it, there are 10 pages of things, including some quite funky stuff. So, like the wine, it ages, and some years are seen as better than others, and also just the age. So, for example, a wine bottle of the Old Geuze vintage 1998 would set you back €125. I'm going to be slightly more restrained than that. Going slightly stronger now with one that I'm going to be savouring. This is an Teur de Geuze, an Old Geuze. Interestingly, I see it's brewed, it's a collaboration of Driefonteinen and a couple of others, De Troc and Lindemans. It's 6.6%, so it's a bit more fierce, but this is the classic Geuze thing, so the champagne bottle. So let's see if I can get it open. Oh, look at the colour on that, look at the head on that. That's amazing. Oh yeah, that is rich, that is strong, that is beautiful. It's about 5:30 in the afternoon. I am at my lodgings in Halle, which are frankly quite palatial. Two breweries down already, and a couple of really rather good ones in Cantillon and Driefonteinen. This evening, I'm going to be exploring the bars and restaurants of Halle, get myself something to eat. Tomorrow morning, then, the real business of the weekend starts. The all of the breweries that form part of the Teur de Geuze will be open and with activities going on. And tomorrow morning, I am therefore going to go to find the e-bike that I have reserved and start touring. I'm now at a bar just around the corner from my accommodation called the Parliament, which was recommended as one of the ones that's one of the greatest for beers in Halle. So I'm just spotted something going through the menu here. Now, most of the beer menu here is Lambic and Geuze because it's that part of the country, but they've got their page of the great Trappist breweries. I see Westvleteren is extremely expensive, which I'm guessing is because it's bootleg, because you're not meant to be able to buy Westvleteren anywhere except at the Abbey and at the shop opposite. But what really heartens me is that Tent Meadow, the only British Trappist abbey from Colville in Nottinghamshire, gets a mention here and is really being plugged as a premium product. Well, you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, clearly. Well done, Tent Meadow. Okay, it's Saturday morning, and weekend's just taken a really good turn because look, the sun is in the sky, which was not what was predicted at one time. So all of a sudden, the idea of a day cycling around becomes a lot more bearable. So I'm here at 2 electric bike hire, about to pick up my bike and then get going. Right, so I'm now officially an e-biker, and it was amazing. Slight sort of trepidation about doing something new, but just ate up the roads between Hallow and Bearsall, which is where I now am in no time at all. That is my trusty steed. And I was always going to go to Oud Bearsall. Old Bearsall was my first brewery, but when I was sort of looking at the map, there's actually, Bearsall has a very fine castle behind me, Middle Ages castle. So, Middle Ages castle. So I'm going to have a look at that first. So here I am at my first proper Teur de Geuze venue, which is Oud Bearsall, just down the road from Bearsall Castle. And here they've got some funky lambics on tap. This is a yuzu peel infused lambic. Basically, I mean, the difference is the lambic is the essential building block, and that comes on tap, whereas the Geuze is the blends, which comes in the bottles. One of the big features of the Teur de Geuze weekend is the Geuze Mega Blend, produced by all of the different Geuze blenderies. There's get bottles there. I'm definitely going to get one bottle to take home, but lots of time to go yet, so probably won't get it now. Anyway, it's noon here at Oud Bearsall. It's doing very, very good business. If you see out there, I'm actually staying out of the sun at the moment because it's quite hot, which I didn't expect to be saying in Belgium. We're now at the second stop along the day, which is Hanson's Artisanal, to a village called Dwarp. Really like it. There's sitting in the garden here. There's again, I mean, like all these places, it's doing really good business. You get a card here. So I paid €20, which might be a mistake because the beer here is actually really quite cheap. We've got a really good system going at the bar, where as well as the lambic on tap, there's got lots of bottles of Geuze that they open, and that you can just get a glass for €3, which is very good value. So what I've got here is the Cassis Geuze, the blackcurrant. Consistently good. Now it's stop number 3, which is a brewery called Den Herberg in a town called Boisingen, just outside Halle. I've fed myself with a very, very delicious burger, and I'm going to go back. They've got a beer infused slushy as well. But in the meantime, here is a mixed fermentation beer with lots of bread, and it's great. They've kind of taken over the whole road here. It's a lovely family afternoon now. Obviously, can't film any of the kids, but everyone is having a really good time. This beer is absolutely delicious. I'm now at Boon Brewery, final stop of the day, and by chance, just as I arrived, so is the marching band. that nice. So yes, Boone, last setting of the day, and I was told Boone was one of the biggest players in the market, and wow, look around. All of human life is here. Well, Belgian, Flemish, human life. So I'm going to go in search of one final drink of the day. Okay, my day is drawing to a close. The guys behind me there are clearly about to play some music, and I'm going to enjoy a bit of that. Like Hanson's, it's one where you buy a set of tickets. So I bought a set of €10, and that disciplines me in terms of how much more I'm going to have today. And to finish off, I am going to go to the Provers Bar, the Bar des Connoisseurs, and see what wonderful things are available there. Boone are very famous for their creek, so this is called a millésime. Not quite sure what that means, but it is a creek. Yeah, I mean, standard of beer has been incredibly high all day, and that is good as well. Morning, Sunday morning, actually feeling pretty good, amazingly good. After my exertions of yesterday, got breakfast from the supermarket and will shortly be heading out to the station to catch my tour bus for day 2 of the tour. While I'm here, I'm just going to do a quick plug for my accommodation. If you are ever in Halle, then look out for this place on Airbnb. It's run by a guy called Dirk. But look at this. And I'm paying for this, in case you wonder, roughly what I would pay for a very ordinary and cramped hotel room in Brussels. And I'd recommend staying in Halle as well. It's beautiful. I mean, if you look just down there, all a bit sleepy at the moment because it's Sunday morning, but it's really the best kind of really sort of charming and pretty Flemish towns with friendly people. And I was sitting in the bar yesterday evening to a woman who brought along her pet parrot, who was very entertaining. So yeah, stay at Halle, stay at this place. Okay, I'm now down at Halle Station, which is where the buses go from. I thought it'd be a bit early, but apparently not. There's a few other people here. So each of these buses goes to a different collection of 4 breweries. I am going on number 7, which is there. So good. This seems to be quite a queue. So yeah, looking forward to this. On the bus now, everyone seems to have got on fairly promptly because no one wants to be left behind. Had a quick glance at the list of other people on the bus. Quite a few Belgians, but some Brits. There's someone from Tel Aviv, someone from Ontario, Canada. So, you know, a bit of an international selection. I'd say the majority of people doing this are Belgians. It's a genuine national thing. It's not like some parody of Oktoberfest, but you have got people, in many cases, who've come a very long way to do this. So it's 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and it's therefore time to start drinking beer. We're at our first stop, which is the Geuzerie de Tilquin. Really been looking forward to coming here ever since I first tried one of theirs at Great British Beer Festival. And as part of this, we've engaged on a daring journey across a national frontier. At least that's how they would see it in Belgium, because just up the road is the border between Flanders and Wallonia. So we're now in the French-speaking bit, Wallonia. Sometimes people call Belgium bilingual country, but that's not actually right. It's a country with 2 languages. Sorry, just almost cluttered by a cyclist there. So you cross this border and immediately everything goes from being completely in Flemish to completely in French. It's very uncompromising. Brussels is the only bit of Belgium that is bilingual. And Pierre Tilquin is the only Walloon member of the High Lambic Council, and he does cracking beer, so really looking forward to tasting it. I'm kind of in heaven here. Normally this place is only open for a couple of hours on Saturday mornings, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So this is the advantage of the Teur de Geuze in Essex. You get to go to places you wouldn't otherwise go to. And they also wheel out their specials. And there are a lot of specials on tap at Teur de Geuze this morning, and they're doing the whole thing, which I utterly applaud, of opening the bottles and letting you have a glass of stuff from the bottles. Not all of the breweries on the tour are doing that. This is called the Rulke. It's dark beer. It's a combination of the classic Geuze and the brown ale, and it's got that sort of, again, the dark sour combination. Again, absolutely stunning. The only dark cloud on my life is that we are only here for another 20 minutes, and also another coach party has just arrived, which is going to overwhelm the bar. So I won't sit around talking to you any longer. I'm going to get on with maximising every moment of these 20 minutes. Bye. They just have got a bit nuts here. We've got a few bottles, but hey, this is Tolkien. You don't get to go there every day. And because I'm not on my bike, and it looks like I can probably just leave this on the coach as the day goes on, and then somehow get it back to my lodgings in Halle and somehow get it home. But wow, what a start. 3 brewers to go. Second stop of the day is De Camp. And we're being greeted with a little bit of music. So some traditional Flemish folk music being played here. I'm sure the resemblance to a Simon and Garfunkel song is completely coincidental. Although actually reflection, this is El Condor Pasa, and Simon and Garfunkel turned it into I Only Could, so scratch that. So yeah, this is De Camp. Second stop along the way today. The band is actually playing some genuine Flemish stuff now. So De Camp was founded in 1997 by a guy called Willem van Herrewegen, who crops up quite a lot. He used to work for some fairly mainstream breweries like Stella and Palm, but clearly decided that he wanted to get into Geuze. So yeah, this is De Camp. We're in a little village called Goik. There's De Camp and Saka, and so the bar here is only bottles. So I might take a little stroll down to Saka. Hi, so I've taken the few minutes walk away in Goik to Sako Brewery. Again, you can hear some traditional Flemish folk music, not in the background. And I've got a glass of, it's called Black Creek. I mean, it's a bit darker, I suppose. Black is possibly overstretching it, but it's really nice. This is another brewery of Willem van Herrewegen, who, like I said, is clearly one of the key players around here. Okay, I'm now at the third stop of the day, which is De Troc. The guy on the bus was saying, "Oh, don't have their Geuze, have their lambics. Their lambic is used by others, but when it comes to the blending, they're not so good." So I've got another creek. I'm really enjoying the creek. Sorry? Go ahead, mate. Yeah. Pot of local cheese as well, just to keep my stomach full while I go with the beer. We're here for an hour and 3/4. slightly running ahead of schedule. But yeah, I've managed to bag a seat and I'm just going to sort of kick back and relax here now. So the bus has made its last stop of the day, which was at Lindeman's. Now, I could kind of give or take Lindeman's, it's a big commercial place. But a mile away is Kestemont, which I had heard of. So I walked it. And I'm going to have a beer here and then stride back, and then I'll get a bit of exercise to complement all of the beer drinking that I've done today. So this is a 4-year-old Kestemont lambic. Which is very typically good. My bus goes from Lindeman's in about a quarter of an hour, so I thought I may as well go into Lindeman's and have a look. And they're doing a ginger Geuze. Yeah, okay. It's ginger. This may be the last video I make today. I'm not sure, but if so, thank you for coming with me on this. I have had an absolute blast. Bye. Hi, I've said farewell to Halle now. My train back to London leaves in about 4 hours, so I'm here in Brussels, and as you can probably see behind me, I am stopping off in the Grand Place just as a sort of good backdrop to this final message. You wouldn't want to eat or drink, you wouldn't buy a beer around here, for example, unless you really want to pay double the going rate. So, what do I think of Teur de Geuze? I'm really glad I did it. Probably do it again, yeah. If you're thinking of doing it, the first thing, I know it's really obvious, is that you really do have to like Geuze and lambic, because you can get other beers around the various venues, but obviously Geuze and lambic is what it's all about. A lot of people don't like it, and that's fine. Try it once, maybe try it twice to get over the shock of having tried it for the first time. If you're going to do it, you really got to plan some bits of it, specifically how you're going to get around. The tour buses are good. They book up maybe a few months in advance, so seriously, you need to get onto it towards the end of the year before Teur de Geuze next happens. So that will be 2028. So you need, though by Christmas 2027, you need to have your transport nailed. Tour bus was great. Getting the bike was great. Best if you're with a group of friends, really. I mean, I just sort of have this thing where I like to do whatever I want, go wherever I want, when I want. But the people who were having the absolute best time were the ones who happened to have a group of friends with them with whom they could share the full 750ml bottles of Geuze. I'd really recommend staying not in Brussels, but in Halle. Again, not much accommodation there, so you need to get in really early. I would really recommend the place I stayed. Have a look on Airbnb. There's not that many places, and it's Dirk's flat. And I would really recommend Toot Toot, who were the people who hired my e-bike. I think plan to go to lots of different places. If you do it properly, because I went to 10 venues in total, 8 as part of the Teur de Geuze proper, plus I went to Cantillon and Driefonteinen, and I found out which ones I liked. I mean, I personally was left a bit cold by the big guys like Boone and Lindeman's, but I don't know, you might like them. I really like the sort of rural ones like Kestemont and Hansen's, plus the real hardcore Geuze scientist, which is Tilcan, which is why I ended up buying half of the Tilcan shop, and I'm trying to think how the hell I'm going to be able to lug that back home. Final thing is, I was absolutely fascinated to hear that they have their beer politics in this community as well. I noticed that Driefonteinen was not an official venue, despite the fact that Armand de Belder of Driefonteinen was the person who first really set up the Teur de Geuze, and my bike hire guy at Toot Toot explained that Driefonteinen thought it had just got a bit too commercial, and they didn't want to have part in any of that. So good to know that beer people really like arguing among themselves here as well as in Britain. But no, it's a really serious festival. A lot of it's a real genuine Belgian community event. I'd say by far the majority of people there were Belgians, often on their bikes, having a really good time. Equally, people from all over the world. There were the Brazilians I met at Cantillon, saw Americans, few Brits. Generally, the ones who'd come from outside Belgium were really serious beer types and often actual brewers, which is great because the Belgian Geuze and lambic tradition has always really inspired other brewers. If you fancy trying a really top-notch equivalent in the UK, then go to, there's a couple of guys called Balance who are under the railway arches in Manchester Piccadilly, whose beers are absolutely phenomenal and really stand scrutiny compared with anything I've tasted this weekend. This may not be my actual last message because I may have some more thoughts at random when I've sobered up a bit. But in the meantime, goodbye from the Grand Place.